Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We're still working on King Lear, and today we get to hear from the king himself in what the folio calls Act 4, Scene 6. It might call it Septima, Scena Septima, which I think would be 7, but it's really only the 6th one that there is. So he might have just misnumbered, or they left something out, or whatever. Other versions call this Act 4, Scene 7, so in any case, it is the last scene in Act 4 of King Lear. So the last time we saw King Lear, if you remember, he was being really crazy out in the forest, and then when some French people showed up, because Cordelia had sent some of her French soldiers to find Lear so that people wouldn't kill him, she wanted to bring him somewhere safe. So the French soldiers, or French people show up where Lear is, and he goes running away from them. They take a minute, and then they go off to find him. Well, they have found him. Also in the interim, Gloucester and Edgar are going off to try to go somewhere safe because there's a war about to happen, like right about here, right about now, and they want to be kind of sort of safe. The war is going to be between Albany and Goneril's side, or actually really just Goneril's side, because she and Albany are on the outs, and Regan and Cornwall's side are actually really just Regan's side, because Cornwall is dead. He got stabbed or died somehow as he was gouging out Gloucester's eyes, and a servant tried to stop him. So this scene that we're in, Act 4, Scene 6 / Act 4, Scene 7, depending what version you're reading, takes place in the French camp, which is actually still in England, but it's the French camps. And this is the one over which Cordelia is in charge, and this is where they have brought Lear. And the scene starts out with Cordelia and Kent, who is still in disguise, remember, because he was banished way back at the beginning, and he's been disguised as a servant to Lear this whole time. And the two of them are chatting, and she's like, I owe you so much, thank you, let me get you some fresh clothes, all that sort of thing. He's like, actually, I sort of still want to stay in disguise until the appropriate moment. She's like, all right. And then they're like, it's about time to wake Lear up because he's been asleep for a really long time, and Cordelia, you're the one that should speak to him first. And she has a moment where she's like, oh, why did you have to have such crappy daughters, except for me? Why did you have to have such crappy daughters who treated you so badly? None of this would have happened, blah, 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 blah. And then they play a little music, and Lear wakes up, and he's totally disoriented because he doesn't know that this French camp exists. He doesn't know that Cordelia is in England. He doesn't know that she's now leading this French army that's coming to attack. He doesn't know that people have changed his clothes and put him to bed, like all this sort of stuff. So he wakes up and he's disoriented. And he also kind of thinks that maybe he should be dead at this point. So he's like, you do me a great disservice by waking me up and bringing me here. And Cordelia looks at him and says, do you know me? And he says, you are a spirit that I knew. When did you die? Or where did you die, depending on which version you're reading. And it's kind of heartbreaking because oftentimes the person playing Cordelia is the same person who played the Fool. And if you remember, Act 3, Scene 4 was the last time that we saw the Fool. So he's kind of lost that person twice, when he banished Cordelia and then when the Fool just sort of disappeared. So now for him to say, you were a spirit I once knew, where and when did you die? It takes on a lot of meaning. Anyway, and she's like, no, I'm not a spirit. I'm actually here, and this is real, and all that sort of thing. And he's like, I don't know where I. He's just like all sorts of disoriented and everything like that. And she's like, I'm really here. And he says, pray do not mock me. I am a very foolish, fond old man, 80 and upward, not an hour more nor less. And to deal plainly, I fear I am not in my perfect mind. Methinks I should know you and this man. Yet I am doubtful, for I am mainly ignorant what place this is. And all the skill I have remembers not these garments, nor I know not where I did lodge last night. Do not laugh at me. For as I am a man, I think this lady to be my child Cordelia. And she's like, yes, I am. And he's like, are those real wet tears on your face? He's like, I know that you're pissed at me. If you have poison right now, I will drink it. Your sisters were so cruel to me, and they had no reason to be mad at me, and you have every reason to be mad at me. And she says, no, I have no reason to be mad at you. and they reconcile. Oh, sorry, I'm not even doing the monologue anymore, but I remember doing the monologue when I was in the play, and it's beautiful because he's lost and he's trying to hold on to a something, and he was raging at the storm trying to control something, and he was talking about how evil wealth is and all that sort of thing, and it's basically taken him back to the one good thing that was in his life, that was Cordelia, that he thought that he lost. And here she is, and she's saving him, and she forgives him. She completely forgives him, and he's able to completely forgive her. And then he's like, wait a second, am I in France? and they're like, no, you're in your own country, but we're gonna keep you safe. We're gonna try to keep you safe. And she's like, well, do you want to come and walk with me? And he says, yeah, but be patient with me because I'm old and foolish. Which is also a big deal because so many times earlier in the play, especially in Act 2, when he was getting kicked out of Goneril's place and then Regan's place, it was such a trigger for him to be called old repeatedly. Goneril and Regan kept hammering home how he's old and how he should behave that appropriately for his age, and he didn't want to, and now here he is, and he says, just be patient with me, for I'm old and foolish. It's just a lovely scene. It's a really, really lovely scene. I would recommend that you go see a production of King Lear so you can see how lovely this scene really can be. Anyway, I'm going to go get a Kleenex, and I will see you tomorrow as we start digging into Act 5, because we have less than a week of King Lear left to go. And then we get into King Richard II, which a lot of people just call Richard II, but since it's in my list as King Richard II, it's coming up next. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for more King Lear. Mwah.